The Strategic Air Campaign of Operation Desert Storm was conceived to destroy Iraq's military infrastructure. Allied aircraft hammered Iraq's armed forces into oblivion before coalition ground forces were unleashed in the final lightning land offensive. Further pinpoint attacks smashed Iraq's economic and industrial infrastructure. Roads, bridges, and other communications networks came under intense bombardment. The Allies attacked with state-of-the-art machines like the F-117 stealth fighter, all the way to 50-year-old veterans like the massive B-52 Stratofortress and the British Buccaneer. One of the keys to the coalition's success was the ability to bomb Iraq with great accuracy. Weapons included high-explosive bombs dropped in huge numbers, as well as cluster weapons which sprayed hundreds of sub-munitions over wide areas. But it was the astonishing accuracy of precision-guided bombs which stunned the world. Although much more expensive than conventional weapons, a single guided munition destroyed a target which might otherwise have required many dumb bombs. On the night of 16/17, January 91, the skies of Baghdad lit up as Iraqi gunners blasted at targets they could not see. Explosions ripped through the night as F-117s and Tomahawk cruise missiles hit command and communications targets with deadly accuracy. Operation Desert Storm was underway. The first step in the coalition war plan was to deny the enemy the skies. Iraqi air defense radars were hit while the Air Force was shut down by concentrated anti-airfield strikes flown by Royal Air Force, Saudi, and Italian Tornadoes. U.S. Air Force F-15Es and F-111Fs, U.S. Navy and Marine Corps Hornets and Intruders took up the attack. They hit power stations, command centers, communication systems, and government buildings. Also targeted that first night were nuclear and chemical weapons facilities and military barracks. Command and control was provided by American and Saudi E-3 Sentry AWACS aircraft, while the brand new E-8 J-Stars ground surveillance system kept a close watch on Iraqi ground movements. Raids continued every night for weeks. The effect was obvious. In spite of a sortie rate of more than 2,000 missions per day, coalition losses were less than 0.1%. The Strategic Air Campaign paved the way for the land offensive, which lasted less than 4 days and the final liberation of Kuwait. Iraq's ability to fight a war in the air had been smashed at the hands of key Allied strategic strike warplanes. In spite of its 30-year-old design, the General Dynamics F-111F, nicknamed the Aardvark, was arguably the most successful Allied bomber of the war. Its speed, range, and all-weather ability made it one of the coalition's key attack aircraft. The F-111F went everywhere, including parts of Baghdad excluded to all other aircraft except the F-117. It attacked bridges, airfields, tanks, artillery, pumping stations, communications facilities, and anything else that would hold still long enough to have a bomb put on it. Based at Taif in the southwest of Saudi Arabia, the initial deployment to the Gulf saw 32 F-111Fs arriving in 2 waves in August of 1990. Aardvark's strength later climbed to 66 aircraft. They formed the 48th Tactical Fighter Wing, provisional. In 2,500 sorties, the 66 Aardvarks sent to the Gulf destroyed at least 1,500 tanks, 252 artillery pieces, 245 hardened aircraft shelters, 13 runways, and 12 bridges, with another 52 spans seriously damaged. The 48th Tactical Fighter Wing dropped more than 3,600 tons of bombs, including 4,660, nearly 60% of the 8,000 precision-guided munitions delivered by the U.S. Air Force. The F-111 is a large warplane, weighing up to 45 tons fully loaded. It is a 2-seat machine, and like the A-6 Intruder, the crew sit side by side. Instead of ejection seats, they sit in an escape capsule. It was the first operational warplane to be fitted with variable geometry or swing wings. For best efficiency at low speeds and for landing or takeoff, the wing is at its minimum sweep back of 16 degrees. The wings move back at higher speeds, reaching a maximum sweep of 72.5 degrees near and beyond the speed of sound. The F-111F carries an enormous warload, up to 14 tons of ordnance. During the Gulf War, its typical warload was up to 4 laser-guided bombs. 225-kilogram GBU-12s were used with great success against Iraqi tanks and artillery. 900-kilogram GBU-10s and GBU-24 laser-guided bombs were dropped against larger targets, such as bunkers and hardened aircraft shelters. Two special weapons were employed exclusively by F-111s. The GBU-15V is a 900-kilogram standoff glide bomb guided either by infrared or electro-optical sensors. On 25th of January, Iraq began to pump crude oil into the sea from terminals off the Kuwaiti coast. 3 days later, 3 F-111Fs dropped GBU-15s against the 2 pumping stations involved. Both were hit, and the ecological warfare ceased. The heaviest weapon carried by coalition tactical aircraft was the GBU-28 Deep Throat laser-guided bomb. During Desert Storm, it was used to hit well-protected targets such as bunkers. It weighs 2,130 kilograms, the size of 2 small cars. The GBU-28 can penetrate 30 meters of earth or 6 meters of reinforced concrete. The tough outer casing is made by cutting the barrels of surplus 8-inch 203-millimeter gun barrels in half, boring them out and filling them with 300 kilograms of high explosive. Two of these bunker buster bombs were dropped onto Iraqi command bunkers near Baghdad by F-111s late in the war. All precision attack weapons were guided by the F-111's pave track pod. Mounted in the weapons bay, it incorporates a stabilized turret with an infrared sensor and laser designator. Another F-111 version used during Desert Storm was the EF-111A Raven, known as the Spark Vark. This aircraft provided valuable electronic warfare support, escorting strike packages deep into Iraq. Its primary mission was to jam Iraqi radars. Flown by the United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, and Italy, the multinational Pan-Avia Tornado IDS strike aircraft was one of the most important weapons used in the campaign against Iraqi bases. In action from the first day of the coalition attack, RAF Tornadoes flew some of the most perilous missions of the entire war and suffered fairly heavy losses in the process. The British sent a total of 62 Tornadoes to the Gulf, and they flew more than 1,800 missions. Aircraft and crews were drawn from 10 squadrons in the UK and Germany. They were grouped into 3 composite units based at Tabuk and Dhahrain in Saudi Arabia, and Morocco and Bahrain. On the first 3 nights, they attacked Iraqi airfields at low level with the JP-233 anti-runway weapon, bombs. 3 aircraft were lost. JP-233 carries 2 types of submunitions. Over 200 HB-876 area denial mines, each weighing 2.4 kilograms and about the size of a large can of tuna, are scattered over a wide area. SG-357 is a 26-kilogram twin warhead bomblet. The first smashes through the concrete surface of a runway, where the second detonates and makes a large crater. Switching to high-level, free-fall bombing attacks, the Tornadoes began to drop laser-guided weapons in February. The British laser-guided weapon used during Desert Storm was the CPU-123/B. This was a standard British 454-kilogram free-fall bomb which had been fitted with the Paveway 2 laser guidance seeker head and extending tail fins. Laser designation was originally provided by accompanying Buccaneer bombers, but from 10 February, Tornadoes equipped with TIAL pods were available to do the job themselves. Other aircraft flew reconnaissance missions and anti-radar missions with alarm missiles. 12 Tornadoes went down in the Gulf, 6 British and 1 Italian aircraft being combat losses. RAF Tornadoes flew more than 1,500 bombing missions. They also flew 95 TIAL, 135 reconnaissance, and 52 anti-radar missions. They dropped 4,200 free-fall bombs, more than 100 JP-233 airfield denial weapons, 950 laser-guided bombs, and fired 123 alarm missiles. Flown by No. 7 and 66 squadrons at Dhahran, Royal Saudi Air Force Tornadoes flew similar interdiction and counter-air missions as the RAF. Like their British and Saudi counterparts, Italian Tornadoes were tasked with anti-airfield missions too. Drawn from 3 Gruppi, the 10 aircraft flew 226 sorties from Abu Dhabi. 1 was lost during the first raid on 17-18 January. The F-15E is the best strike attack aircraft in the world. It is derived from the F-15 Interceptor, but has a 2-crew cockpit and advanced avionics. These allow the F-15E to deliver a wide range of precision-guided weapons in all weather conditions. A fully laden Strike Eagle weighs 37 tons, but the F-15E is actually a dual-role machine. It remains a fantastic air-to-air fighter and can equally act as an air superiority interceptor. The key to its ability to fly and fight at night and in bad weather is the combination of the advanced APG-70 radar and the Lantern system. The multi-mode APG-70 lies at the heart of the F-15E's weapons system. It has phenomenal ground mapping capabilities which allow the crew to take radar snapshots called patch maps of the terrain ahead. But it is also very effective in the air-to-air mode, making the F-15E one of the world's most advanced beyond visual range interceptor. Lantern stands for Low Altitude Navigation and Targeting Infrared for Night. It consists of two pods, a navigation pod and a targeting pod. The AAQ-13 navigation pod, carried underneath the right intake, consists of a FLIR, forward-looking infrared, and a terrain-following radar. When linked to the F-15E's flight control system, it allows automatic coupled terrain following flight, even at night and in adverse weather conditions. The AAQ-14 targeting pod houses a FLIR and a laser designator. These provide range information for free-fall bombs and designate for laser-guided weapons. The F-15E is replacing the F-111 as the U.S. Air Force long-range tactical strike aircraft. It can carry 11 tons of weapons on 2 underwing pylons and 12 weapon stations on the fuselage. These range from cluster bombs, conventional free-fall bombs, to laser-guided weapons and air-to-surface missiles such as the HARM and Maverick. It can also carry tactical nuclear weapons, such as the B-61 free-fall bomb. For the air-to-air role, the F-15E can fire Sidewinder, Sparrow, and AMRAAM missiles. These are backed up by an internal 20-millimeter cannon. The F-15E had just entered service with the U.S. Air Force when Desert Storm began. Only one squadron had been declared operationally ready. 48 Strike Eagles were rushed to the Gulf. They came from 2 squadrons of the 4th Tactical Fighter Wing at Seymour Johnson in North Carolina. They were deployed to Al-Kharj in central Saudi Arabia, from where they flew a total of 2,200 missions. They were in action from the first night of the war. These initial attacks were made at low level, and 2 F-15Es were lost to ground fire. The chief targets were communications facilities, airfields, and strategic bridges, which the APG-70 radar could find and designate with ease. F-15E missions fell into 3 categories: strategic strikes into Iraq, Scud missile hunting in the desert, and battlefield air interdiction in Kuwait. It was the F-15E's radar capability which made it one of the key coalition types in the hunt for Scuds. As the war progressed, the F-15E increasingly turned away from strategic targets and joined the tank plinking campaign with F-111s. And the Strike Eagle even scored an air-to-air kill, undoubtedly one of the most bizarre of the war. On 14 February, an F-15E caught an Iraqi Hughes 500 helicopter on the ground. The crew designated it with a laser-guided bomb. But as the LGB was in flight, the helicopter took off. The weapons system officer continued to designate, and the bomb hit its target in midair. You're called dune hopping, just a few feet off the ground. If this guy hits downward wind shear, he's a dead man. But he obviously feels that if you want to find Scuds, it helps to be able to see them up close. That kind of flying takes a lot of exhausting concentration, and these guys have been at it all day, into the night. They take a well-deserved stand down. While the Scud hunt never ceased during the war, the Allies had other concerns. like the well-dug-in Republican Guard up north in Kuwait. The old Ancient of Days was brought in to take care of them. The B-52 Stratofortress, which has been around for 5 decades, still had work to do in this modern high-tech war of laser-guided precision weapons. If you want to dump a lot of bombs fast, the B-52 is still the way to go. It was a mission which could not have been flown by any other aircraft. Setting off 15 hours before any other coalition aircraft left the ground, the Boeing B-52 was the first Allied warplane in action during Desert Storm. 7 B-52Gs from the 596 Bomb Squadron, 2nd Bomb Wing, flew more than 12,000 kilometers from their base in the south of the United States, fired 35 AGM-86C conventional air-launched cruise missiles, a previously secret version, against 8 targets in northern Iraq and returned. The missiles were launched from external cruise missile pylons, with 3 missiles under one wing and 4 under the other. The classified code name for the program was Senior Surprise, although the crews called them Secret Squirrels. Launched during a 10-minute period from about 150 kilometers south of the Iraqi-Saudi border near the town of Arar, the missiles struck hydroelectric and geothermal power plants near Mosul and the telephone exchange in Basra. The missiles' use of global positioning satellites aided their flight over the often featureless Iraqi terrain, enabling 31 of the cruise missiles to hit their targets. This was a success rate of 85 to 91%. The round-trip mission from Barksdale Air Force Base, Louisiana, lasted over 34 hours, the longest bombing raids ever. This action at the beginning of the war is what still sticks in people's memory as they contemplate the whys and wherefores of it, because they saw it all as it was happening on their home TV screens, when the stealth opened the dance by moving in under the cover of night to take out Iraqi command and control centers in beautiful downtown Baghdad.